Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're making chicken crust pizza. That's our most favorite way to make it. To me and my husband, it tastes the best. So we're going to use canned chicken to make that. So hang around and you'll see how I make mine. Alright guys, so here's what we're going to need. Technically, you only need one can, a 10-ounce can of chicken breast. I actually have 12-ounce cans, but they work fine. 10 or 12-ounce can, 1 egg, and 1 ounce of grated or shredded Parmesan. Now, what I normally do is double this and make a large pizza that my husband and I can both have 2 servings each, so we'll have leftovers out of this pizza. So basically, 1 pizza is 2 servings. So it's actually not that bad, but by the time we make it double, it'll be a generous size, almost like a 9x13 size pizza. And I've got pepperoni that I'm going to put on it. This is the sauce that I like to use. It's only, I think it's 5 net carbs for a half a cup, and I don't even think I use a half a cup on the whole pizza. Plus, this stuff is easily found at Kroger, and it's about half the price as that Rayo's. It's only like $3 to $4. I think the Rayo is like $8 or $9. So I definitely buy that instead. And then what I do is I actually mix a little bit of mozzarella in with the Parmesan. Actually, I don't have a ton left, so I'll be using some mozzarella. Mix that in together with the crust instead of just the Parmesan. But technically, all you need is 1 ounce of Parmesan, 1 egg, and a 10-ounce can of chicken to make the crust. But I'm doubling it, and I add some extra. We're going to open up the can of chicken, drain it out in the sink, squeeze as much water out in a strainer as you can to get it as dry as possible. And then we're going to put it on a cookie sheet with parchment paper and put it in the oven. Alright, so I've got my chicken drained. I just used the lid and pushed it as hard as I could to get the liquid out. There's really like hardly anything in here. But what I'll take is a fork, get everything out of my can. And in my case, cans, because I'm doubling this up. I've never tried it with the shredded can. This is just chunk chicken. So what you're going to do is kind of use your fork to break it up a little bit and just spread it out over your parchment paper. Try not to have like a big pile of it, because what you're trying to do is dry it out a little bit and get some of the moisture and the liquid out of it so that it all will stick together when you make it into the chicken pizza dough. I'm throwing it everywhere now. The only thing I hate about doing this is there's this one extra step, which is drying out the chicken. So it takes a little bit longer than some of the other doughs. But it's really the most flavorful. It doesn't taste like you're eating chicken as a crust, but it just tastes really flavorful. The crust consistency is great. I'll show you guys when it's done, obviously. But this is basically what you do with it. Spread it out until you get it pretty evenly mushed out. And once it's preheated to 350, we'll stick this in the oven and dry out this chicken for 10 minutes. Okay, while that's cooking for 10 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and put my 2 eggs in a bowl. When the chicken comes out after being in the oven for 10 minutes, obviously you want to let it cool off a little bit before you put it in with the egg. We all know what happens with hot things mixed with eggs. Not a good combination. Destroyed that one, didn't I? Woo! Okay, so I have this little measurer here that I like to use. It was just a little cheap. Gosh, I think it was like 6. Throw it on the floor. I think it was like $6. Got it at my husband's work. Like I said, he works for a place that has a lot of home goods and different things. So what I like to do is measure everything out on this. Where is, not grams, ounces. There it is. I like to measure everything out on this. It's not one of those fancy ones, but it works really well, so I just use it. And it's supposed to be an ounce. So in my case, I would need 2 ounces. Good thing is this is ground up pretty good, so I don't think I'm going to have to worry about anything else. See, there's an ounce. So I'm going to have to make up for my other ounce with my mozzarella. Or you can even use like cheddar. I've got some cheddar I'm going to mix in on top as well. So I'm just going to take this until we have 2 ounces. And that's what we're going to mix together with the chicken once it comes out and cools off for a little bit. If you want, you can go ahead and add some of your seasonings now before your chicken's done while you're waiting. So I've got some pepper, some onion powder. And this is stuff I just eyeball. You know how we are with seasonings. You guys can just do it however you want. A little garlic powder. You want a little more garlic powder because it is Italiano. We're making pizza. And some Italian seasonings. So add some of that in there. And if you want, you can add more on top after you put your cheese and stuff on at the final step. Or you can just have it all mixed in with your crust. I prefer to just mix it all in with my crust. And then at the end, all I've got to do is put my cheese and my toppings on my sauce. So we're going to mix this up. And then when the chicken comes out, we're going to mix that all in after it cools off a little bit. And then this is actually a Keto Connect recipe. I'm not sure if it originated with them, but it is one of the ones that they have on their website. So I'll link that below. So I did get it from them originally. But what they do, they tell you to increase your temperature to your oven to 500 degrees when you're doing the crust and the final cook. That's kind of high. And if I'm not mistaken, I think parchment paper has a max temperature. Yeah. Parchment paper says it withstands temperatures up to 420. So since all ovens are a little different, I just put mine at 425. I don't think a 5-degree thing's really going to bother it. It's never had an issue before with the parchment paper at 425, but I don't feel comfortable putting my oven up to 500 because it's an older one and I can't use my parchment paper on it. So we'll do that once we get the chicken in here. We'll show you about the crust. Alright guys, my 10 minutes is up. You can see that it's a little steamy, but I mean you can touch it by hand. If it's just, for the most part, dried out, you're good. I mean it doesn't have to, you don't want it bone dry to where it's like hard and crunchy. 10 minutes at 350 is really pretty good. So we're gonna let this cool off. It's kind of hard to take it off in here. I usually just try to roll this up and funnel it into my bowl, but I gotta let it cool off a little bit first, and then we'll put it in with our egg mixture. Don't forget to raise your oven temp. Like I said, I'm gonna do mine at 425 because I don't want to put the parchment paper up any higher than that. And they tell you to cook it at 500 for 10 minutes for the crust, but I've never had any issues at 425 for 10 minutes. Because you're going to put it back in for 10 more minutes after you put the toppings on it. Okay, our chicken's cooled off enough. I'm going to put it in my egg mixture with the Parmesan and my seasonings. I normally like to reuse parchment paper when you're doing something like this. But in this case, since it draws out the moisture, it actually gets the parchment paper pretty wet. So I'd rather just get fresh out. Pan's pretty hot still, so don't hurt yourself on that. I don't have the rolls. I always get these pre-cut sheets. The only thing I don't like is they're not quite long enough for a 9 by 13. Not 9 by 13. This large baking sheet, it's a larger size. It's like an industrial, professional, well, somewhat, whatever. You know, it's a big one, okay? So, I preheated to 425. I've got my eggs in here with my chicken, so we're just going to mix this in together until it's all incorporated really well. And then we're just going to dump it out on our pan here. And then you can either, the best way to do it is to put another piece of parchment paper on top of it while you're rolling it out. And you can either use a rolling pin, or you can use, like, sometimes I'll even use my sauce bottle, because sometimes trying to get a big old rolling pin with this pan like that, it's kind of a tight spot. So everything's mixed in well. It just kind of looks like chicken salad-ish right now, but it's still pretty good shape. So may not look like crust right now, but try not to burn myself. Like I already said, hey guys, be careful, don't burn yourself. But I'm kind of klutzy, so you know, I just burned myself. You always get the best reality on my channel, don't ya? Okay. Ask me why I did that. At first, I'll take my hands and I'll just kind of spread it out a little bit. And like I said, you can take a rolling pin, or you can use your bowl, or a bowl. You can use your... The only problem is parchment paper likes to slide around. So it's not fun to work with. So you kind of have to work two-handed here. Hold it down while you roll it out. And you're going to roll it out somewhat thin, not super duper thin. And sometimes you can just do this with it instead of rolling it, and it'll help. So that's where we're at right now. I need to get a little bit more this way. But I'm going to get this straightened out on my pan until I get somewhat of a triangle, not triangle. I don't even know my shapes right now, guys. It's been one of those days. I've been out trying to clothes shop because I've lost so much weight now that everything is falling off, which is great. Don't get me wrong. I've never been a fan of clothes shopping to begin with because I always had so many issues. Now I don't really know what size I am. I've been around everywhere that's got stuff like super cheap clearance because I'm going to have to buy more clothes again in a few months. And I feel like I don't want to go spending a ton of money at like Torrid or something if I, you know, we'll have to buy more here soon. So to me, this is kind of thick still. I mean, you might get a couple of spots where you think, okay, I can see through it. But once you mash it down and get it where you want it to, it doesn't have to be a perfect shape. It really doesn't have to be perfect at all. And just think about how much we have here. And this is two 12.5 ounce cans. And they're talking about using one 10-ounce can for the one pizza that makes 2 servings. So that's going to be kind of small. This one actually works out pretty good. I guess that's gonna work. I'm just gonna mess with the edges a little bit and get that straightened up. So what I'll normally do is either use my fork, or you can use your fingers and just kind of smush up the edge, like pinch, kind of like you're doing a pie crust. Or do you want to semi-pinch the edges? It may seem like it's kind of loose and wanting to fall apart right now, but I promise you it'll be stuck together well once you get it all baked up. So just try to smush the edges up. Like I said, you can always use different cheeses in here. You don't have to make it where it's got like an edge, but I feel like it's more like a pizza crust edge if you try to do that a little bit. There's not really a whole lot you can do to get it much thicker, because this is actually somewhat thick. I've used this enough before to where I was actually able to spread it out, almost covering this whole pan. Today, not so much. It's a little bit thicker crust. But basically, it would be cut in half. Half of that's mine, half of that's my husband's. Doesn't seem like a lot, and you're like, man, you know, when we used to eat pizza, we eat 4 or 5 pieces. It ain't like that. When you eat this stuff, there's so much protein and everything in here with all this chicken. You're gonna be full pretty quick. Sometimes I can barely eat like the 2 slices out of the corner. So we're gonna put this in the oven for 10 minutes and we'll check it. Like I said, if it doesn't seem like it's done, we'll put it back in, but we're gonna start with 10 minutes. Okay guys, it's been 10 minutes. Let's see how our crust looks. Woo, that's toasted. Right in my face. That works for me. Looks pretty good. All right, so now what we're going to do is, since a serving of this sauce is half, well, not a serving, yeah, a serving is half a cup. Like I said, I barely use a half a cup when I'm doing it anyway. Where is my half a cup measure? I lost my crap. You see it? That's a quarter. I think I know what a half looks like. It's a lot bigger than a quarter. Okay, so half cup. Honestly, we're gonna start out with half of a cup. And because I may only actually need a quarter of a cup, because this is a little bit smaller. I think it tastes better if you can get as much sauce on there as you can. Tastes more pizza-ish. And then obviously if you want to have somewhat of a crust, leave that little bit of an edge around it, and it will be a little bit more crunchy. Not really like crunchy hard, but like it'll be more like a crust edge when you get done. So I'm just going to use that whole half a cup, because like I said, it's only 4 or 5 net carbs for the whole pizza, and I'm only going to eat a quarter of this. So I'm good with that, to have some extra sauce. And I use this brand if I wanted some kind of pasta sauce, or when I'm making lasagna, I can use that marinara, or they have like a spaghetti sauce type that I use when I'm doing like the zucchini lasagna. You see how it's kind of soaking in a little bit too. So, got our sauce all sauced. And this is when the kids can come help. Put all the fancy stuff on the pizza. And when it comes to making the pizza, I don't really measure when I'm using my cheese. Because I know like a small handful, it's like a quarter of a cup or whatever little amount I have in my hands, ends up being, you know, like a quarter of a cup. So I try to do it the professional way. There's a chunk. Put a little bit down first, then put some pepperoni down. I do try to make sure I put an even amount of pepperonis down though, so that works out. So since this is going to be, it's going to end up being like 2 pieces of pepperoni per slice. And if you want, I mean, you could put more on there. Because like I said, you're really going to only probably eat 2 pieces. It might not actually be 2 per slice, but you can see some of it's trying to start melting. Kind of OCD, guys, sorry. My OCD's kicking in. I'm trying to leave a little line in the middle because I know I'm going to cut it in half. Excuse me. I'm trying to leave a little line in the middle because I know I'm going to cut it in half. It may not work out to exactly whatever the slice is, but that should work out okay. So it's time to shred up some more cheese. But what I'm going to do is try to sprinkle this on top. Then I've got some cheddar. That we will sprinkle it on here. Not a ton, but just enough that holds the pepperoni down and you get your cheesy fix. So what we're going to do now is put it back in the oven, same temp that we have it on now, 425, for 10 more minutes. And if when you look at it you feel like it still needs to melt a little bit more or whatever, leave it in there for a few more minutes. If you think it looks good, take it out. But I don't usually have any issues with it. I usually might as well use the rest of my cheese because I've got to shred a lot more cheese. Yeah, I don't usually have any issues with it not being where I want it at after 10 minutes. So we're going to put this in the oven for 10 minutes and see what we get after that. Alright, it's been 10 minutes. Here is the finished product. Doesn't that look amazing? Just check it out. Just look at it. Would you just look at it? Mmm, bubbling cheese. I'll come back and show you what it looks like when I cut it up. I'm going to let it cool off for 5 or 10 minutes. Alright guys, I've let it cool off for a little bit. So we're going to take the pizza cutter and just cut it like you normally would any regular old pizza. I like to go ahead and divide it up as close to even as possible. And it's kind of even. So technically each one of these quarters is a serving. So my husband and I will have 1 serving each tonight. And I mean, if you let it sit for a little bit longer, I don't know if it stiffens up or not, but we usually eat it pretty much right after it comes out of the oven. So this is going to be my serving for now. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that on a plate. It is somewhat soft, but you can see it holds together very well. Really, really well. I usually will let mine sit on a plate for a little bit and then I can actually pick it up and eat it. Or you can even eat it with a fork if you don't want to wait. So we'll show you what it looks like on a plate. Me, as usual, I'm very prepared. Right, guys? You know me by now. Kind of chopped off part of mine right there. But you see it actually held together pretty well, except right here in the corner where I butchered it. Don't worry, I'm not losing my serving. Getting all that right there. So there we go. There is our chicken crust pizza. Like I said, you can pick it up and hold it. Holds together really well. It tastes amazing. Give this one a try. If you've tried fathead dough and you think it tastes good, wait till you try this. It's great. And you can put any kind of toppings on it. It really depends on what we have left hanging around in the fridge. Usually we always have pepperoni, so there's always pepperoni. There's always different kinds of cheese, and sometimes I'll put chopped ham. Depends on if we have some available that I'm using in a salad. We'll put onions on it. We've put peppers on it. You can put more chicken on it. Honestly, you're getting quite a bit of chicken, quite a bit of protein already with the crust itself. I did not write down the macros, but like I said, I'm going to link below to Keto Connect, to their website, to where this recipe is. It's 0 carbs for the crust. And like I said, that does not include, you know, the sauce and everything. But the crust itself, 0. So it all depends on what you put on it. You can put an Alfredo sauce on this, a white sauce, like spinach stuff. You know, I've never tried that yet. I might try like an Alfredo sauce with it, since it is chicken crust. And maybe put a little bit of spinach on there with something, and see how we get, you know, how it comes out that way. So that's a good idea to try next time. But I've still got plenty of this marinara sauce, and I need to get it used up because it's been open for a little bit. So I'm going to eat my dinner, and you guys let me know what your favorite pizza is. What is your favorite pizza crust? Have you tried the chicken crust pizza before? Do you like it? Let me know. What are your favorite toppings? We like pretty much everything. Thanks guys. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more, and let me know if there's anything specific you want to see on my videos. Also, hit the little notification bell if you want to be notified when I post a new video. So stay tuned guys, and we'll be posting more soon. Thanks. Bye. So comment below and let me know what your favorite kind of pizza is, what your favorite toppings are, your favorite kind of crust. Let me know how you do yours, if there's some kind of tricks that you have that make it better. Just give me a message down below. So don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, all the fun things that we YouTubers enjoy. So, and anybody else want to do any kind of collaboration together to make something, like I'll make one my way, they make theirs that way, message me. I'll enter my email into my contact information. You guys can send me a message. So hope you have a great day. Bye. We don't talk anymore.